We are opened up to the next clean page in our notebooks, and we are ready to take our notes for today. So today, waiting for a few of our classmates' voices. All right, we are titling our notes 4.8, use number sense to multiply decimals, and today's date of 11/11/20. So 4.8, use number sense to multiply decimals. 11/11/20. No, it didn't. Because I was able to fit it all. He's going to be leaving in a little bit. Yes, definitely. And Philip, why don't you head upstairs? Okay, grab your coat. You're coming back, aren't you? Okay, then you don't need your stuff. I'll see you in a little bit. All right, 4.8, use number sense to multiply decimals. Give me a thumbs up when you have this written down. Thank you, Michael and Richie, Mackenzie, Grayson, Senna, Chanel, Emmy, Layla, Allison, Frankie, Addie, Elena, Jack L. Awesome. All right. So, for our notes today, we're going to go right into some practice problems. So, you guys, when it says number sense, what it means is what we know about numbers. We're using our prior knowledge we've already learned, to place a decimal in an answer or to multiply decimals. So before we actually start multiplying two decimals together, we're going to practice being given two numbers that are being multiplied and being told, okay, these are the digits in the answer. Where does the decimal go? That's what we're going to be practicing today. And we're also going to practice being given two numbers, being given an answer and deciding, is the decimal in the correct spot? Okay, so we're first going to be placing the decimal ourselves in the answer. So go ahead and label that section, use number sense to place decimal. Give me a thumbs up when you're ready to move on. You don't have to write it as big as me. If you just take up one line, that's fine. I'm just very enthusiastic about math. And you have a bigger piece. Maybe, not necessarily. A lot of you have similar notebooks to mine. Awesome. Thank you for showing me your thumbs when you are ready. I appreciate it.
Which letter is sent to S or C?
The C. Consent. Yeah. Oh, waiting for you guys. All right. Are we ready to move on? Okay. So, our directions. So you can think of these kind of like directions like on your homework almost. The products are written without the decimal. Where should it go? Remember, a product is an answer to a multiplication problem. So the answers to the multiplication problems are written without the decimal. Make sure you underline without. Where should it go? And give me a thumbs up when you have these directions written down. Andrew, thank you, Yosius, Layla, Emmy, Allison, Frankie, Michael, Anna, Richie, Addie, Elena. Multiplying them and then, counting. One number behind the decimal here, one for the decimal. Yep.
So you basically do rounding.
No, you're multiplying, and then you're figuring out where the decimal goes.
So 50.1 should be 5 times 1.5 times 17.
So when you remember yesterday, when you multiply them, you ignore the decimal first. Get the digits, and then you see where the decimal goes. You stack them with their whole numbers and multiply them. And just ignore the decimal. Alright, so what I'm going to do is you are going to have 4 problems. In each of these problems, what do you think you are doing? Jack, I'll hold on to your pencil. What do you think you're doing for these problems based on the directions? What are we doing, Frankie?
Writing the product without the decimal.
Well, the products are already written without the decimal. What do you think we need to do? What do you think we need to do? Emmy? We need to put the decimal in the answer where it should go. Exactly. So, here are our 4 problems that we are writing down. So, don't freak out about them. I will explain them a little bit. I'm going to make sure the decimals are really clear. I'm going to explain it. So, 5th grade, we have 2, so like for number 1, we have 5 and 100th times 3. The product has the digits 1503. We need to figure out, okay, where does the decimal go in that answer? Number 2, 1 and 8 tenths times 1 and 9 tenths has the product has the digits 342 in it. You need to figure out, where does the decimal go? Number 3, 6 and 22 hundredths times 3. The product will have the digits 1866, but we need to figure out where the decimal goes. And number 4, 9 tenths times 9 tenths. That product will have the digits 8 and 1 in it, but we need to figure out where the decimal goes. So, once you have this written down, we're going to do the first one together, and then you can do number 2, 3, and 4 yourself, okay? I'll use orange so it stands out when we're ready. Well, then you'll be able to check it, okay, when we do number 1 together. So thumbs up when you have the 4 practice problems written down. And then we're going to do number 1 together. And if you've already done them, okay, but you should still be following along when we do number 1 together to make sure you did it correctly. Awesome. Thank you. I see a few people finishing up writing these down. And notice that I did leave some spaces between the digits so that I have a space for a decimal no matter where I need to put it. Why didn't you ask for a pencil? All right, so we're going to back to your desk. Ready to rock. All right, 5th grade, we're going to look at the first one together. So do you guys remember how yesterday when we multiplied, we ignored the decimal to begin, we got the digits, and then what did we do to figure out where the decimal goes in the answer? What did we do? Only Emmy remembers what we did? What did we do? Richie?
So, like, we count how much digits are behind the decimal, and that's how digits
To be behind
to be behind the decimal.
in your answer. So for number 1, we're given the digits 1503. So I'm going to look back at the two numbers we multiplied, 5 and 1/100 and 3. We look at both numbers, so it's between both numbers. We have two digits that are behind the decimal, the 0 and the 1. So that means in our answer, we need to have two digits behind the decimal. So I'm going to go in two spots, 1, 2, and my decimal should go between the 5 and the 0. Now, I want you to complete 2, 3, and 4 on your own. Put a thumbs up on your desk when you are ready to check your answers. Have you done those 3 yet? Why are we talking? I'll give you another moment to finish up. All right, 5th grade, we're going to look at this together. Voices should be off, and let's get ready. If you're working on a coloring sheet or reading, I'd like you to put it to the side, and let's look at them together. So we should be looking at both numbers. Now, number 1, we only had one number that was a decimal, right? So we only have one number to look at. But at number 2, we have two numbers that are decimals. So if I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, okay, how many digits total between both numbers are to the right? I have the 8 to the right of the decimal and a 9 to the right of the decimal. That is 1, 2 numbers to the right. So, or behind. So I'm going to go into my answer 1, 2 places. How many of you, since both of these only had 1 to the right, put your decimal in one spot instead of 2? Yes. So we are counting the digits in both numbers all together that are behind the decimal, okay? So if you need to take a moment and correct your answer for 3 and 4, why don't you quickly do that? Voices off. Take a moment to do 3 and 4 if you need to. That's okay. That's why we're practicing together. Okay. Ready to rock? All right, now let's look at number 3. So number 3, we only have one decimal number. Yes, so I'm going to look at that decimal number. We have 2 digits to the right, or 2 digits behind the decimal. So then I'm going to come in 2 places and put my decimal between the 8 and the 6. Yep, so we have 18 and 66 hundredths. Can you guys see the orange okay?
Yeah.
My back row you can too? Okay, kind of? Okay. Okay. You can see it? Okay. Well, obviously. All right, then number 4, we have another problem that has more than one decimal number. So I'm looking at both of them, and I'm counting all together how many digits are to the right of a decimal. I have the 9 in the first number, that's to the right, and I have the 9 in the second one. So how many do I need to move it? Show me on your hand. How many do I need to move it in my answer? 2, because I have 1 digit in the first number and 1 digit in the second number that are behind the decimal. So if I move it in twice, I don't know why we're talking, but our voices should be off. I move it in twice. 1, 2. My decimal goes before the 8. So what needs to go before the decimal? 0. If you didn't add a 0, you need to. Yeah? If you can hear me clap once. If you can hear me clap twice. Show me 1 through 5. How do you feel about placing the decimal in the answer? Now that we've done it together, how do you feel? How are we feeling? 1 through 5. Okay. Drew, how are you feeling? Okay. Okay. Addie, how are you feeling with it? Awesome. All right. Hands down. Now we're going to practice one more skill that you're going to be using on your homework. I'm waiting for you, 5th grade. Waiting for you. All right. So for the last part of our notes, we are going to do something similar, but a little bit different directions. So for the next couple practice problems, it says, is the decimal placed correctly? If not, rewrite the product with the decimal in the correct spot. So last time, with the first 4 practice problems, we were given the digits in the product and we needed to physically place the decimal ourselves. With these practice problems, we're going to be given an answer to the problem and we need to figure out, is the decimal in the correct spot or does it need to be rewritten with the decimal in a different spot? So go ahead, get these directions written down and then put a thumbs up when you got that. Awesome. Thank you, Frankie. Thank you, Sana. Thank you, Yosius, and Mackenzie, and Richie, Michael, Emmy. Yeah. The product correctly. Not everyone would understand what that meant. I know you would, but not everyone. Allison, thank you. Thank you, Layla. I'll give you another moment. I see some people finishing up the directions. So if you're done writing the directions, I want you to read them so that you understand what we're doing. Now, sometimes if you're copying down notes, you don't always understand what you're writing. So once you have them written down, read the directions so that you understand what we're doing. All right, so the problems that we're going to practice this with are these. So do you guys notice how I left an extra space underneath these than I did with the first ones? That's because, just like it says in our directions, if the decimal is not placed correctly in the answer, we need to rewrite the answer with the decimal in the correct spot. So for number 1, it says 12 times, hello? Okay, sounds good, thank you. Bye. All right, so number 1, 12 times 4 and 8/10, and they say it equals 57 and 6/10. So then when you look at number 1, you'll have to determine, is the decimal in the correct spot? All the digits in the answers are correct. You're looking at the decimal and asking, is it in the right spot? Number 2, it says 5 and 2/10 times 6 and 4/10 equals 3 and 328,000. So you need to decide, is that decimal in the right spot? Number 3, 5/100 times 12 and 4/10 equals 6 and 2/10. You need to determine if that's correct. And number 4, 18 times 3 and 38/100 equals 60 and 84/100. And you need to determine if that is correct. So once you have these written down, you are looking at the answer and figuring out, is the decimal in the correct spot? If it is, you can just write yes. If it's not, you're going to rewrite the answer with the decimal in the correct spot. Go ahead, 5th grade. All the numbers in the answer are correct. Yep, you are focused on the decimal placement. ready to rock? All right, 5th grade, let's look at this together. I know one of these is a little trickier than the others. So, if you're reading a book, coloring a coloring sheet, making a voting sheet, put it to the side. And let's look at this together. I'm going to use a different color that maybe will show up a little bit better. So, our job was to look at the product they gave us and determine, okay, is that decimal in the correct spot? So, if I look 12 and 4 and 8/10, show me on your hand how many numbers do I have behind a decimal in this problem. There's just one, right? It's just the 8. Is there one number behind my decimal in the answer? Yes. So, yes, it's correct. I'm going to write yes. It's good. How many of you said yes, it's correct for number 1? Awesome. Awesome. Now let's look at number 2. For number 2, how many digits do I have to the right of my decimal for number 2 in the problem? Show me. In the problem, not the answer, in the problem, there are how many digits to the right of the decimal? There are 2. I have this 2 and this 4, right? So, how many digits do I need to the right of the decimal in my answer? 2. Is this written correctly? No. So I'm going to rewrite the digits first and leave some space a little bit between them. So I need to go in 1, 2 spots. So if I go in 1, 2, it should be 33 and 28/100. So that decimal should be between the 3 and the 2. All right. How many of you at least recognized that number 2, it was not in the right spot? How many of you recognized it wasn't in the right spot? Okay. How many of you put the decimal in the right spot? Okay. All right. Hands down. Now let's look at number 3, and this one was a little trickier. Let's look at the 2 numbers I'm multiplying in number 3. How many digits are to the right of a decimal in the 2 numbers I'm multiplying? Raise your hand. Or show me on your hand. Yes, show me on your hand. There are 3. I have this 0, this 5, and this 4. So that's 3. Is our decimal in 3 spaces here? No. So, 5th grade, how many of you count and you go 1, 2, and then you're like, oh no, what do I do next? I'm in front of the 6. What do I do? If we were to count 3 spaces in, 1, 2, 3, I need my placeholder 0. So how many of you wrote your answer like this? How many of you wrote your answer like this? I know Jack L wants to tell me what I need. Jack L, what do I need? I need a 0 before the decimal. If you wrote it like this, technically, okay, yes, you put the decimal in the right spot, but can we ever start a number off with a decimal point?
No.
No, there always needs to be a 0 to the left of it. So, 3 spaces in, 1, 2, 3. So 5th grade, if you are ever given a number and you have to go like 5 spaces in, and you realize, oh my gosh, I only have 2 numbers. If you have to go 5 spaces in, that means for every space to the left of that last number you're going, you need a 0. So I recommend, I'm going to show you down here, to make sure you don't lose track of how many places you need a 0, if you take your pencil, start at the right, we needed to count in 3 spaces, go 1, 2, 3. That's where your decimal goes. And see how I now can visibly see where the 0 needs to go? Then you know to fill it in. So I recommend using your pencil and physically drawing you skipping those spaces so that you know exactly where to put that decimal and those zeros, okay? Now let's look at number 4. How many digits do I have behind decimals in the 2 numbers I multiplied? Show me on your hands. How many? How many do I have? There are 2. I have the 3 and the 8. Is the decimal in the product correct? Yes, it is. I have 1, 2 to the right of the decimal, so that is a yes. All right, I would like you to close your eyes or put your head down. Close your eyes or put your head down. All right. You are going to think about how you're feeling when it comes to placing the decimal in the correct spot of an answer, of a product, Think about how you're feeling, and go ahead and show me 1 through 5. How are you feeling about placing the decimal in the product of multiplication problem? 1 through 5. How are you feeling? Yep, go ahead and show me 1 through 5. Hands down. Hands down. Open your eyes. Have your workbook ready. I'm going to tell you what our homework is for tonight. We are on page 211. 211. 211. Ready to rock. Ready to rock. I don't know why we're talking, but turn off your voice. All right, so on page 211, you are circling number 1, number 7, number 9, number 11, and number 12. I'm going to say it again. You are circling number 1, number 7, number 9, number 11, and number 12. In 5th grade, for your directions, make sure you are reading them carefully, because they will tell you if you need to physically place the decimal yourself, if you need to look at the product and determine if it's in the right spot. Make sure you are reading the directions carefully. I'm going to get your work music going. I'll give you some work time, and then if you have questions, I'd like you to bring your workbook over to me. Nice job today.